It's Poke Time! This is What's Your Favorite Pokemon, and then I say something nice about you, hashtag Whiffapatasane, a podcast where we all get to think about Pokemon for a little while and nothing else. I'm Mischa Stanton, and I like my candies 75% off the day after Valentine's Day, Easter, or Halloween. Eric Silver, welcome to your own podcast.
Oh no! It's Eric Silver, this is your life. They're going to play all these clips of me. No!
Oh, we have some clips, but those will come later. You see, wonderful listeners, today is a special Eric's birthday edition of What's Your Favorite Pokemon, and then I say something nice about you.
This is so stupid. I like it though.
This is going to be great, and everyone's going to love it. It's going to be so cute. Eric Silver, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Sure. Hey, I'm Eric Silver. I'm usually the host of this podcast.
Not anymore!
No, not anymore. And, I'm also the best DM in podcasting on Join the Party.
That's true. I've heard that on the internet.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying it.
Everyone's saying it.
Yeah, and I'm also the co-host on Tell Me About It, which is a wacky game show about people talking about their favorite things. It's like audio Taskmaster, which is a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, incredible. I should really check out some of these podcasts.
Yeah, you should. You should try editing 2/3 of them. It's really fun.
It is. You know what, Eric? It is. It is really fun. And that's why I'm so excited to be here with you today. Because I also know that you are a die-hard Poke fan.
I am. I do like the Pokemon. They're good. They're good little guys.
They truly made a whole generation-spanning franchise out of just making cute little guys.
I think about the original 150, and it's like, y'all really just decided to make some dudes. Just a fucking, it's like, yeah, here's Magmar. It's fucking terrible.
It's got a butt on its forehead.
It's like, oh, you don't like
you
that?
Love it.
How about Jigglypuff? Is that good for you? Put you to sleep.
It's just Kirby with a microphone.
Yeah. They're just like, I don't know. The really funny thing is, if you look at marketing for really early in Pokemon's life cycle, really introducing Gen 1 to the States, Poliwhirl and Poliwrath were really big in the marketing.
Yeah, I do remember Poliwhirl being on a lot of the companion guides for the game that you could buy at not GameStop, because GameStop wasn't the monopoly that it is today, but your local video game store.
Babbage's, Mischa, Babbage's.
Right, of course.
Yeah, it's funny. I follow a lot of Pokemon Twitters, and they showed a bunch of I think on the Pokemon mac and cheese, one of them was Poliwhirl. I think on some guides, as you said, it's also Poliwhirl. They really were pushing it. I find that deeply funny.
Is that because Japan loves frogs?
I guess so. I think that they decided to put it forward, yeah. I mean, they can't be any water frog, two-footed water frog cannot be more popular than Electric Mouse. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Who knew?
Well, nothing could beat Electric Mouse, because Electric Mouse was the main character of the anime. You can't beat that.
No, I think they knew that, because that's why Electric is so OP. They're like, oh, we got to make sure Pikachu's really powerful. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Eric, tell us a little bit about your relationship to Pokemon throughout your life. What was your first Pokemon games?
My first Pokemon game was Pokemon Red. For those of you who don't know, I am a twin. I have a twin brother. Hi, Tyler, wherever you are. And it's also his birthday, so he's also gets to celebrate this with me.
Happy birthday, Tyler.
Good job, Tyler.
You did it. You were born.
So we got a lot of stuff at the same time, especially Pokemon games. So I had Red and he had Blue.
Oh, yeah.
And we continued that all through the quote-unquote traditional Game Boy series. We had a Game Boy Advance, we had a Game Boy SP, so we went up to Ruby Sapphire is one that I really remember. And I think about the time we went to high school and college, the 3DS was for kids, and I want to say this as nicely as possible. They were for kids who were into anime when no one knew what that was. It's
sure.
Hey, it's 2005. I have a sticker of my otaku who is on my 3DS. And I'm like, that kid is a dork.
Yep.
So it's like we never got into the 3DS. It felt like the 3DS was decidedly not cool in a way that like the Game Boy Advance, or at least the Game Boy was. It's like, oh, gamers, you can play whenever you want.
That's true. It's also kind of the first time where I was like, oh, Nintendo people are like into Nintendo.
Yes.
Like exclusively, like you had, like the 3DS was for hardcore Nintendo fans.
Right, especially because everybody else was playing like Halo or I'm trying to think of the stuff. We were in a PlayStation household, so I'm trying to think of the stuff on there.
No one was playing it because everyone was playing Halo.
Yeah, everyone was playing Halo. That's true. It's like, I guess if you're a weirdo, you were playing the original God of War series or like Final Fantasy, but no, everyone was just playing Halo. And we had an Xbox, so I had a GameCube, but I never had a Wii. That was like when my dad and my mom split up when we were 10, and then when my dad had new kids, they had a Wii and a Wii U because they were younger. So it's like, it was very much like a younger thing. I feel like it was like a real family thing. So I didn't really get back into video games outside of the bro-y ones until the Switch, where I bought it and then I got a gamer PC, and then I got back into playing the Pokemon games with Sword and Shield, and then started getting into like the world building, as you see with the various contents that I have out here.
Yeah. So here's my question. Follow up to this.
Sure.
When I also played the first 3 generations, loved Ruby and Sapphire, especially Fire Red and Leaf Green. Oh, my jam. But specifically, I also didn't have a DS or a 3DS, and my younger brother had one. So I also saw them as like not for me quite so much. So I pivoted hard to Ruby Sapphire ROM hacks. Did you ever play any of those?
No. See, we like for such a long time, I think my dad wanted to make it seem like he knew the most about computers. You know? It's like, we had Windows and like we had PCs at our house, but like it was never to a point where like I was downloading stuff. I think my brother was also doing that. We also got into like MMOs at that time. Like we played a lot of Guild Wars at the time, and my brother was the one who like found torrents, and he was the one who like knew how to do that stuff. So I really didn't. So no, the ROM, now I'm into ROM hacks. That's something that I watch all the time. I love watching streamers get into it. Like I follow a really, really popular Nuzlocker, who's very talented, and it's fun watching him like take these incredibly difficult ROM hacks apart. So like now I'm into it. Now I get the strats. I'm just like not necessarily doing it. Like I've played Nuzlocke before, but I'm just not as I get too impatient with the battle system. I just like Pokemon as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. I've never done a Nuzlocke. Do you have a favorite buddy from your Nuzlocke run?
Oh, man. No, I definitely did a Nuzlocke on Sword and Shield at some point.
Because you were an adult.
Right, because I'm an adult. But you know, I played Platinum for the first time on like OpenEMU, but I was doing it for a podcast, and they didn't tell me. And they were like, oh yeah, if you want to come on this podcast, just like play through like 3/4 of Platinum so you can come on and talk about one section. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna have to do this as fast as possible because I already said it. So it's like that. Yeah. I have such a bad taste in my mouth from that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's slam this Pokemon game for my podcast. What an ass.
I know. It's like, hey, oh yeah, I assume you've been playing along with us as we've been playing. Just hop on and as we're 5/8 through it. I was also like playing. Jeez. I was playing Platinum, but they were playing Pearl, and they never told me.
Oh, those are 2 different games. One comes after the other.
Yeah, yeah. One is much different than the other, and I'm like, all right, great, thank you, thanks, guys, thanks.
Even if you had played like Diamond, it would have been closer.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like I'm coming to Pokemon so much as an adult, like dealing with adult problems and like trying to challenge myself with these artificial stuff. So I feel like I consume a lot of Pokemon content and I talk about it a lot, but playing the games themselves, I mean, listen, I also played Scarlet and Violet like everybody else, but there always comes to a point in like the late game where it just becomes too hard because something I've done in my team construction doesn't jive directly with the one thing you can do. For those of you who played Scarlet and Violet, it's that wild shit at the end of the end game, and the same thing, the final boss fight in Sword and Shield against your final rival. my team composition wasn't right for whatever they were trying to do. And it's like you push through the entire game because it's for children.
Yeah.
And then you come up there and they're like, no, you fucked up. No, you can't finish this.
No, there was only one way to play this game, child. Didn't you know that? Didn't you predict that 3 gyms ago?
You don't have all poison types? That's really weird that you don't.
Oh, you forgot to add a fire type in the mid game when we only provided 1 on that one route and its rarity was like 3%? My bad. Get good.
Oh, you have a dragon, but it's only dragon type? Oh, well, I have an ice type that's good for this. Oh, but ice is bad for everyone else other than the AI? Oh, okay. Well, you can just go fuck yourself.
Ice is definitely the computer's favorite Pokemon type for sure.
And it always works for them. It never works for me.
Yeah. Truly. Eric, you are currently hanging out in the Multitudio.
I am.
In beautiful Greenpoint, Brooklyn. But do you happen to have any Pokemon merch within arm's reach of you right now?
Oh, man, not within arm's reach of me. I should have prepared for this.
Okay, we'll open it up to the rest of the Multitudio. Is there any Pokemon merch in the Multitudio?
Oh, 100%. Hold on, let me go get it.
Yeah, go. This is the part of the podcast where Eric fully left the recording booth so I can tell you how much I love him and what a joy it is to work for and with him every day. And, okay, he's coming back. And we'll say more nice stuff about him later.
Okay, so I measured it out. We do have a bunch of Pokemon stuff here in the studio, but I think the closest thing is at my desk where I have a Snorlax that's made out of onyx.
What?
It's made out of obsidian.
That's
because
awesome.
As a millennial, I have friends who are into crystals, and they sent me an Etsy shop that made crystals that were cut into Pokemon. And, like, I don't necessarily believe in crystals, but it sure is cool having an obsidian Snorlax to protect me from negative thoughts.
That's amazing. Also, like, as one of the tenets of your altar, you chose sleep and sleepiness, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, so he just hangs out to me and reminds me to have to do belly drum and have high defense and just remember to take a rest.
Belly drum, shockingly good move. Shout out to all of the people who physically are able to do it.
Yeah, shout out to belly drum and all my belly drum boys out there.
Belly drum boys. All right, Eric, it's that time of the podcast. Who's your favorite Pokemon?
You know, it's funny. I knew this was coming, and I still gave 2 Pokemon.
That's okay.
But I truly do not think I love more than the other. Like, neither of them are perfect. I feel like I need both of them at the same time. So my 2 favorite Pokemon are Golurk and Mamoswine.
Yeah. Good news, Eric. I prepped both of those.
Hooray, great. We'll talk about them both roughly. It's fine.
Okay, great. We can do it. So we're going to have to double time a little bit through the Pokemon to do 2 at once, I think a little bit, but tell why? Why do you love these things? Yeah.
Listen, they fill different places in my heart. I think that if I want both of them as best friends. They're both big boys. They're both very interesting designs. They're both I don't know, fun to be around. And they both have lethal guys that they evolve from. And I think that that's also part of it, of knowing you go from a lethal dude into something a big lad. It's something that I love quite a lot. And of course, Golurk is the Jewish golem Pokemon, but of course, it's the only thing close. It's only close to it. And
honestly, I got some research for you. It's closer than you might think.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
And
I like where Golurk comes from. And then Mamoswine also is my ice type boy. And both of them are ground type, which I didn't know about myself until I thought about it a little. I thought about it for a second that I'm a ground type trainer.
You are very grounding.
Deep. Thank you.
It's the time where we say something nice about you.
Earthquake.
Also, it does make me think about the fact that ice is bad unless you pair it with ground. Permafrost is really strong. You know what I'm saying?
I do know.
There's something to that.
Yeah.
Would you please describe for us your Pokemon as good as possible for the listeners?
Sure, I absolutely will. Okay, so Mamoswine is a okay. Envision a mammoth.
Yeah.
But it has a blue eye mask on, a light blue eye mask on, and the tusks are giant and they come out of the chest.
They don't come out of the mouth, they come out of the chest.
It's on the body, on the image, it looks like it's coming out of the chest. It's fully right in the center of the entire height.
I don't know if our audience base is too young to get this reference, but there's Madonna's cone tits, and then there's the Mamoswine.
No, that's good. I think people will know what that is. Yeah, that's
okay,
fine.
great, good.
They're kind of like those, yeah. And Golurk, Golurk looks like a Roman soldier, except it's made out of iron. It's 9 feet tall, and it's spooky because it's ghost type. Yeah. And it has like a big cut around its chest, and it has like a weird metallic bandage over it.
Yeah, like a band of metal holding the crack together.
Yeah.
Well, when did you decide that these wonderful friends were your favorites?
See, this is a good question because this is where it comes together, right? It's like I really love Mamoswine because 1, good boy. 2, I've come around on Swinub as well. I think Piloswine is the most teenage looking ass Pokemon. It's like Ivysaur and Mamoswine look like they're trying to do kickflips in a gas station parking lot.
Yeah, telling their stepdad that they're not their real dad and storming out of the front door. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, just because you're dating Mamoswine doesn't mean you're my dad, Steve. And I love the whole tusk thing is so interesting that it's like made out of ice as well, and I just really love that thing. Also, I came to find out more about Mamoswine. Speaking of coming to this as an adult and skipping the middle sections, the 3DS sections,
skipping the teenage sections, if you will.
Truly, is that like do you ever watch Griffin McElroy's Nuzlocke runs?
I have in the past watched Griffin McElroy content.
Sure. For those of you who don't know, Griffin McElroy is one of those famous podcasting brothers, but also he was a video producer for Polygon, which is a website that his brother founded.
Yeah, in addition to being lots of podcast content, Griffin McElroy also a bunch of video game content.
Yes, a lot of video game content. That was also the time when I was working like my terrible jobs, like the one that I met Brandon at when we were working at Terrible Job. Like we were watching a lot of Polygon content. That was like the height of videos coming out of Polygon that were from the McElroys and McElroy adjacent people.
I'm not gonna lie, I freaking love those amiibo reviews.
I love them. I love them.
Funny. The part where he would shove them in his mouth every time got me every time.
Yeah, and like seeing him have to do comedy by himself or with like a very limited and not his brother co-host was like wonderful to me. I loved watching it. And it was definitely a part of this like larger internet constellation. So, and one of this was these Nuzlocke runs that I was super into. And he did a Nuzlocke run of X and Y, which is a game that I never played because it was weird in 3D on the 3DS. And there was a moment in X and Y where you're traversing some sort of like icy area because this is where you get the ice type Pokemon, and it's like snowy. And there's a moment where where it tells you to bust on through with Mamoswine, and then you jump on top of a Mamoswine, and then you have to, and the Mamoswine takes you through like all of this snow. And I still remember this moment and how funny it was and how delightful it looked riding a Mamoswine. That like I want this. I want to go to there.
You just want to bust on through.
I want to bust on through with Mamoswine. And then for Golurk, of course, like I'm a sucker for the Jewish golem and everything about the golem trope. And knowing that there was actually a Pokemon for it was wonderful. And also, Golurk is actually combat viable, while Mamoswine it kind of really isn't.
Yeah. Golurk, it's nice to have a backup favorite that's actually good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're really one and one. Like, I really like Golurk, and I think that I like Golurk more as like a design that's instead of like, oh, just kind of sort of a woolly mammoth, but we did something different with it.
Yep.
Like Golurk was actually trying to like innovate on something, like taking and you know, Pokemon are all just like Japanese yokai when they come down to it. So it's nice seeing
it's nice to have the Jewish yokai in there.
Exactly. Golurk is Jewish yokai. Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. I actually really love that take. I'm going to take that with me after the podcast.
Do it. Everyone deserves their own yokai.
Yeah. Do you want to know what inspired your Pokemon? It sounds like you already do know what inspired your Pokemon, but do you want me to tell you anyway?
Yeah, please. I have a good sense, but like I would love to talk a little bit more about Golurk, where Golurk comes from, for sure. Like, Mamoswine is truly just a mammoth, right?
Well, no, it's a woolly mammoth and a wild boar, like an ancient boar.
Oh.
In Japanese, its name is Mamu, which is a cross-up of mammoth, and Boo 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 Boo, which is Japanese for oink oink.
Shout out to the fucking onomatopoeias coming out of Japan. Incredible. There's something also like a little bit like mother bear about Mamoswine. I know the gender difference, the gender split on this particular Pokemon is 50-50, but it feels motherly.
This is a Pokemon where, like, when it's depicted in art, it's caring for its young ones.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's a few that are like that. Kangaskhan also comes to mind of, like, Pokemon that are where one of their primary characteristics is like they are a parent.
Yeah. And like I kind of like that. I've always liked that about bears as well, which is my favorite animal. But all of the bear Pokemon are boring and stupid. So
they're just bears. They're not like fun bear cross-ups or anything.
No, nothing makes me more mad than Beartic, which is and Cubchoo, which are two of the one grossest but two boring and most obvious Pokemon constructions ever. So I automatically thrown out.
I just don't like looking at them.
I
truly don't.
It
It's
literally
not fun.
makes me nauseous if I look at a Cubchoo for more than like 5 seconds.
Yeah. So let's move on. Do you want to know what inspired Golurk?
Yes, I know. I did a little bit of research because I didn't know which one you were also preparing. But like, there's so interesting that like it's not just the golem. It's like there's like a lot of soldier stuff.
There's a lot of soldier stuff. It looks kind of like a Roman soldier. There's references to like terracotta soldiers in the terracotta army in China. There are also like very specific references to one specific filmic appearance of the Golem of Prague.
That's so tight.
Did you know about this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so the crack and the band across the crack is a direct reference to the 1950s Czech film known in the U.S. as The Emperor and the Golem, which depicts a clay model of the Golem where that crack and has a band. Like, it was a design choice for that movie, and then it got incorporated into Golem lore.
That is so cool. I actually didn't know about that at all.
The Golem of Prague also, I didn't know this, could summon the spirits of the dead to its aid. That's part of Golem.
I didn't know that either. That's wild. I also think it's so funny that like this was introduced in Unova. I think it was Gen 5, which was ostensibly New York City. It's like, yeah, let's put the Jewish shit in the New York City place.
They're just coming to meet us where we're at, right?
Yeah, they also
as a Jew in New York City, you have to accept that.
I saw a post, and again, this stuff is just on Reddit, where it's like, hey, did you know that like Jews are the second most popular religious group in New York City? And I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, as a Jew that grew up near New York City, I get surprised when that's not true other places.
Fucking
you know
true.
I mean?
That's why I'm not leaving New York State ever.
Yeah, true. So hard to get a good bagel here in LA.
Fucking true. Absolutely true.
I do also just want to shout out all of the Dex entries that like specifically call out how Golurks were created to protect people and Pokemon in ancient times. Like they were created. They're an artificial Pokemon. They were created as guardians. Others mention how it can lose control of itself if the glowing seal on its face is removed. Which is they took the time to like really incorporate the Golem's actual lore and like apply it to the Pokemon world. And I like all of the Dex entries mention that ever since its first appearance. Like its Dex entries are constantly mentioning these two facets, and it's like bringing Jewish lore to the world in a way that like is like accurate.
Yes. Well, I don't want to step on anything else of the next section about fun facts about the thing, but I have something which is very specific of why I think that is the case.
Okay.
Hey, it's Eric, and I picked up some snacks for Games and Feelings. It's a birthday cake for me. Honestly, I really didn't know that this episode was coming. It's incredible. Thank you to Mischa and Amanda and everyone who worked on it, who pulled this whole thing together. I'm feeling really loved, and I really appreciate that. And I'm going to say that in the mid-roll of this podcast. Please support the wonderful people who work on this, not just me, but Mischa and Amanda and the wonderful people in Multitude. And join the Patreon for Games and Feelings. We are redoubling our efforts on the Patreon feed for exclusive content. There's over 25 episodes of exclusive pods. Hop on to $5 a month. You get your very special, very own questions portal if you join at the $10 a month tier. And of course, I get to say your name every single time if you join the producer level patron tier for only $20 a month. And therefore, shout out to producer level patrons Polly Burge, Kelsey Duffy, and Peyton, who got me even more board games for my birthday. Oh my God, you shouldn't have. Thank you. These look so much fun. If you want to be a part of that, patreon.com/gamesandfeelings. I think you should listen to the other shows here at the Multitude Podcast Collective. You might really like Pale Blue Pod. Pale Blue Pod is an astronomy podcast for people who are overwhelmed by the universe but want to be its friend. Astrophysicist Dr. Moya Matir and comedian Corinne Caputo demystify space one topic at a time with open eyes, open arms, and open mouths because they're laughing so much and dropping their jaws at the incredible information. You might not know this, but Moya and Corinne had the same amount of grad school. It was 8 years to be a professional comedian. Pretty wild. By the end of each episode, the cosmos will feel a little less too scary, and a little more ooh, so cool. New episodes every single Monday, wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is sponsored by Tavour. Tavour is our favorite place to find craft beer from all over the United States. Tavour does the searching for you, giving you easy access to a wide range of craft beers from across state lines. All you got to do is download the Tavour app to get access to hard-to-find 100% independent craft beer. Build your own custom box of the craft beers you love, or let them do it for you if you just enroll in a subscription box and bing, bang, boom, they'll help you out. The best part is that they'll hold all of your beer for you in the warehouse until you're ready to have it shipped, all for one flat fee. So you can get a beer 2 months ago, you can get a beer a week ago, you can get a beer 2 weeks from now, and they'll all be shipped at the same time. They're going to hold on to that beer even if you don't remember getting it. So download Tavour, Tavour, from the App Store right now and use code Games and Feelings for $10 off your first order of $25 or more. Tavour, where code Games and Feelings will get you $10 off your first order of $25 or more. And now, back to the birthday.
Okay, you want to move on to the fun facts? We can do fun facts.
Sure, yeah.
So you want to do Mamoswine or Golurk facts first?
Let's do Golurk, because the one that I prepared was that Golurk was designed by James Turner.
Eric, I appreciate you, but this was your birthday present, and you weren't supposed to prep stuff.
I wasn't prepping. I was just looking up the Bulbapedia. It's right there.
Okay.
I actually thought this. I was thinking about this, and I have been thinking for a long time. How the hell did Jewish stuff get into Japanese games?
Yeah.
Because, shout out to all the anime and manga designers who love putting crosses into their shit just because they think it looks neat. Fucking shout out. But I can see how Japan looks at Christianity as look at that weird shit. Like Westerners look at the fetishization of Asian stuff. So I had no idea why this made sense. But the guy who supposedly designed Golurk was American. His name was James Turner, and he was the first Westerner to design Pokemon. So the reason why is that this guy actually might have known a Jew,
wow.
as opposed to in Japan, where they definitely don't.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize that he was the first Westerner to be a Pokemon designer.
Yeah, in 2010, I think when he designed Pokemon for Black and White going forward. That's when it started.
Amazing. My fun fact about Golurk, I have a bunch.
Please.
Golurk has an interesting relationship to the mechanism that drives it.
Oh.
According to S.H.I.E.L.D., there's a theory that Golurks have perpetual motion machines inside them that make them go, that never die and never tire. It can also fly and turn itself into a cannon.
That's so funny.
I don't know if that's from Jewish lore, but it should be. Did you know the Golem of Prague could also turn itself into a cannon?
Yeah, I think maybe people would like Jews more if they thought we had an air force.
Well,
that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Okay, moving on. My final fun fact about Golurk is again, I mentioned it before, but it's classified as an artificial Pokemon, which is the specific subset of Pokemon that were created by humans in the Pokemon world. People can just make new Pokemon exist in Pokemon. It also includes Voltorb and Electrode, the Porygon line. Mewtwo obviously is a clone of Mew. It also includes Baltoy and Claydol, Castform, which was made in a weather machine, Trubbish and Garbodor, Genesect, Type Null, which I had never heard of until I looked it up on Bulbapedia, but I love those little niche guys that are weirdos, like a missing no, but part of canon.
Yeah, there was a point in Pokemon games where all of a sudden they were commentaries on man's ability to create, and I'm no, just use the elemental powers to take over the world, please.
What if we hard pivot Pokemon into a Frankenstein adaptation.
True. Fucking true. Yeah, absolutely.
Just so people don't at me on the internet, artificial Pokemon also include Banette, Magiarna, Varoom, and several Paradox Pokemon, which I don't know about because I have not played Scarlet and Violet.
Fair. It's odd. They're very odd. Can I tell you why my favorite bit of Pokemon lore?
Yes, please.
Is that, do you know anything about the Reggie line?
The Reggie Ice and the Reggie Steel and the Regieleki, which is my favorite one.
So basically, like, there's a bunch of different, like, striations of Pokemon gods.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about, like, Arceus or all of, like, the gods of time or space. We're talking about, like, one level down.
It's really like a multi-tiered pantheon.
Yeah.
That there's, like, major gods, minor gods, demigods, like, just kind of legends, but not really gods.
Right.
It's very plentiful for something that also has a Christian Jesus in it.
Right. Yes, exactly. And then Tom Bombadil is there as well.
Yeah.
So the Reggies were actually, speaking of like artificially constructed Pokemon, so Regigigas created all the other Reggies. He built them. Okay. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking put you together, my man. It's like very much it's like I guess New Testament sort of like creation myth. You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's really odd. It's really odd. And I just want someone at Game Freak to sit down and be like, what the fuck did we make? It's just like it's an exquisite corpse of world building that I just love so much.
If you want to be two Jews that have a Pokemon podcast talking about Golurk, no, let's really talk about it because there's something about the Golem myth that says like the power to create and to protect yourself can be wrought from the earth with your own hands. Mm-hmm. In a way that the Arceus myth says creation is my domain.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's something that like really gives power back to the people in a radical way, which is what the Golem myth is all about.
Yeah, there's something really funny about Arceus, especially now that Arceus is like your boy in the Pokemon Legends series. Like Arceus, Arceus used to be very like abstract as well as like Giratina and like the really high up god Pokemon where it's like they just show up, they're devastating, they're incredibly scary. You can
only find them in like a special pocket dimension that exists specifically to encounter them.
Right, exactly. But now Arceus is like, what's up, my man? I just isekai'd you. I'm also your phone. How's it hanging? Like he turned into Jesus. That like Jesus and Arceus are your friends. And I find that deeply interesting alongside the thing you just said of like being able to build Pokemon alongside, like, when you think about intelligent design and that there is a god that created everything, which is Arceus, it's like Arceus was trying to create Magmar? You fucking weirdo. Like, that's really wild that, like, if we apply the same idea that, like, God created humans and everything here and knew what she was doing by creating humans. Like, was Arceus trying to intentionally allow humans to create Pokemon, or is Arceus only allowed to create whatever weird guys that Arceus wants?
I want you to imagine. I'm going to paint you a word picture. Sure. Ready? There's a bunch of teens, Pokemon trainers, hanging out on a beach in Cinnabar Island. They come across a Magmar. They throw down, start roasting it, making fun of its butt face. Arceus comes out of the clouds and says, "Yo, dude, I made him in my image. Lay off.
Hey, dog, turn the other cheek. Flamethrower.
Quit it. Let he who has not had a butt face cast the first stone."
Mischa, that's hilarious. The thing I want to talk about, though, is about the Golem myth, because I just talked about this on Spirits lately, and I've been thinking about this a lot in terms of, like, what constitutes a Golem. And I think that there's a few tenets that need to be met. And I don't think that Golurk touches it, but I think it's because Golurk is trying to be everybody's, like, artificial protector at the same time. Because a golem has to be, one, created, so Golurk has that. Two, by someone to protect. But three, to protect a disenfranchised group by a powerful majority.
Yeah.
And although Golurk does that third one, like, ostensibly, in that he protects other Pokemon, Golurk protects trainers who have them.
Yeah, he sort of protects like abstract the downtrodden.
Right, yeah, but it's also kind of like, I don't know if you can have one. You don't get to say like, oh, if you pull the strap off, it freaks out and destroys villages without saying it was protecting that village specifically because it needed it. I feel like we're missing that one specific detail, but I think it's because they kind of touched on a lot of different things. There are so many inspirations that I was digging into, like the terracotta soldier you said, the Roman soldier, which I thought was really great. But also because it was New York City, we're also talking about the Statue of Liberty, which is why it's kind of colored that way.
Right.
And
So you said it was made of iron. Because it's Statue of Liberty based, I thought it was made of copper.
Right. Because, well, I think that might have been what they were alluding to, and I don't know if specifically I just said iron. But
it's made of pokey flesh.
Don't worry, it's made of weird pokey flesh. But also, because it can go at Mach speeds, we're kind of talking about a Voltron, right?
Yeah.
So we also have mecha anime layered on top of it. It's Japanese robot as well.
Also, the original name for Voltron in Japanese was Golion.
Oh, that's pretty tight.
So that's Golurk.
There you go. It comes at like there's a lot. I think this design is really smart because it's everything to everyone, and a lot of different people can claim that it's their robotic or artificial protector, and I really like that.
That is very, very cool.
And Mamoswine's like a fucking mammoth dog. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You want a free fun fact about Mamoswine just because I thought this was neat?
I do.
Okay. The fact that Mamoswine is ground type is probably a reference to permafrost, but also it might be a reference to Russian, where the word mammoth comes from.
Ooh, okay.
Which originally comes from the Mansi word, which is indigenous Russians, the Mansi words for earth and horn.
Let's go. Shout out to all my linguists out there. Let's go.
So that's a fun fact about Mamoswine. Yeah, dude, it's a fucking mammoth. It's been encased in ice for 10,000 years, and part of that ice is its tusks, which are affixed to its chest, like Madonna.
I love that. There's also something about, like, I wonder if they kind of made this Pokemon around specific moves. Like, this one, like, Golurk specifically has, like, a punching move that is, like, only good for them and is, like, one of the there are so many different punching moves. I think it's, like, I can't remember what it is, but I'm making my hand like go down, like bop down at the elbow. But then I think that like Ice Fang was like made for Mamoswine as like a physical move. It has ice tusks. That's what it's for.
Well, I love when they do that. Like I'm pretty partial to. I know I have an episode of What's Your Favorite Pokemon where I talk about Bulbasaur, but I also really love a Cubone Marowak line, and they have Bone Meringue, and like that's. Only Marowak would have that. So, like, I love a Pokemon move that only one has.
Yes. No, I agree. I think... Also, Bonerang is awesome.
It's dope. I could have a whole second episode talking about Marowak, but I won't. Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
If you and Golurk and Mamoswine were in real life and super good buddies, what would you do together?
This is a great question because I have distinct things I would do with both of them. The first is I would ride Mamoswine around everywhere.
Just busting on through.
Just truly busting on through with Mamoswine.
Bust on through the snow, bust on through the bank, bust on through the coffee shop line.
I'm just busting on through traffic and everyone just needs to get out of the way. But then with Golurk, I would go to space because he can go at Mach speeds. Well, honestly, I think like Golurk, I would be like a Batman-style vigilante.
Okay.
I think it would be fun of being like a human with like my big lad. Also, Golurk was in the Detective Pikachu movie, so I do know what it looks like rendered in lifelike 60 FPS. So I think it would be pretty cool. It'd be super spooky.
I just had a vision of you on its back flying through the sky like Hero and Baymax from Big Hero 6, where you're just like on its back pointing out crime.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Incredible.
That's what I would do. Yeah, you nailed it.
Okay, what would all three of you do together?
We would have a ground type gym. That's what we would do.
Right. And if you want to know more about Eric's ground type gym, you might just have to listen to the multi-crew exclusive podcast, Head Heart Guide.
Now, did I spend $100 on a commission? Yes, I did. Does that affect how well I did? No, it doesn't.
Not even in the slightest.
Not even a little bit. They were just like, cool, fuck off.
The dice tell a story, Eric.
I know. There is an image of, it's my Twitter image, and I think my image on a lot of my Discord stuff.
It's so good.
Is me as a ground type gym, where like my gimmick is that you gotta play like Mario Kart, which is very fun, and it'll be like Double Dash style, where you put your Pokemon on your back and you do attacks. But it's a lot of fun. It's really pretty. Shout out to Bromo Jumbo, wherever you are.
Thinking of you wherever you are.
Shout out to the artist who had some time to draw me with some cool Pokemon.
And now is the second part of the show.
What?
Where we say something nice about you.
What? What are you talking about?
Eric, we have gathered.
No!
It's not just me who's going to say something nice about you, Eric. It's a bunch of people.
I had no idea this was going to happen. Okay.
Here we go. Are you ready?
Oh, Mischa's presenting and just showing me audio. Oh, no.
Eric, welcome to the part where we say something nice about you.
Oh, my God.
My favorite Pokemon Ninetales can be a basic bitch. And in all the best ways, Eric Silver can also be a basic bitch. He likes to go to the beach, day drink, have a White Claw, get his toes done. He doesn't like ranch, but he's always down to have a good time, just like Ninetales.
You're just like Gyarados because Wired's John McSmire and I would describe you as a classic powerhouse. And in an alternate universe where friendly podcasters were called Pokemon, IGN would call you one of the most powerful Pokemon ever encountered.
Look, Eric's got oddish vibes. I mean, he loves frolicking through a field and bathing in the moonlight. And honestly, that's about the extent of my Pokemon knowledge, thanks to my deeply unsuccessful attempt at playing Pokemon Silver on my Game Boy Color back in the early 2000s. I just couldn't figure out how to cut down that one special silly little tree blocking my path, and I immediately retired. You know who would have gotten me out of that struggle? Eric, because he's real good at helping when you ask, and he's even better at cutting down trees.
Like Pikachu, my twin brother Eric bonds well with others, connecting with friends, coworkers, and listeners of his podcasts. Eric shares Pikachu's adventurous spirit as he loves exploring Brooklyn and finding the best beer and food.
Is my brother's favorite Pokemon Pikachu? I didn't know that.
Pikachu's encounters with legendary Pokemon keeps fans on the edge of their seats. Similarly, Eric is always looking for new creative opportunities and collaborations, which make his podcast engaging and exciting.
Happy birthday, Eric! I think that you're like my favorite Pokemon, Smeargle, because you're so artistic. And also, you won't stop painting on the walls. Stop painting on the walls.
Okay, Marquez.
Hello, it's me, Brandon. You know that my favorite Pokemon is Gengar.
Why do you say Pokemon?
But true fans know that my other favorite is Meryl. The little squishy blue guy who's just the gosh darn cutest. Now, you are not a little blue mouse friend, but you do have some things in common with Meryl. Meryl's ears are sensitive and can detect distant sounds. Get it? Like podcasting. Meryl's tail is flexible and configured to stretch, just like how you're able to adapt yourself to all situations and make the best of them. Meryl never gets cold after swimming in cold water, and
True.
You too are always overheated.
True.
And finally, the bauble at the end of Meryl's tail is filled with a lighter-than-water oil that acts as a buoy, just like you are the buoy that keeps us all afloat. You also learn Rain Dance at level 27.
That's true.
Happy birthday, Eric. Happy Taurus season. Amanda Raltz here.
Shout
Here
out
to
to
tell
Raltz.
you about my favorite Pokemon, Raltz. Shocker. I want to share with you an excerpt from a Reddit post titled, I Hate Raltz. And this excerpt reads, it's been more than 1 hour. I'm trying to find and capture a female Raltz, and my Torchic is already a combuskin from training so much while searching for Raltz. First, I think you have something in common with Raltz because you both like to make Reddit bros angry, and that's
True.
delightful. Second, Raltz has a 4% chance of appearing in Route 102 in the Hoenn region, and like Raltz, you are 1 in 25. No, you know what I mean. I'm just making a joke. But I think that it's really rare and special to find friends who keep me feeling inspired creatively and grateful for the work that we both get to do. I'm constantly in awe of your constant creativity and all the crazy games you make up. It's just delightful to bear witness to your brain working. Finally, the thing that you have in common with Raltz is that you are both weak to poison. Happy birthday!
Just like my favorite Snowy Fox, you like to run with your pack. You have a lot of great friends that you've made over time, and you stay loyal and true to them. And I know all of us appreciate that greatly about you. Plus, you adapt to a lot of different situations and always know how to have a great time, no matter who you're hanging out with or where we are, or what challenges we're facing along the way. You know how to make any time with you exciting. And I think that's pretty neat.
much like Arcanine, you are magnificent. People are enchanted by your mane, aka your great beard and great hair. And while some people might not consider you a legendary, you are literally a legend. Arcanine's the legendary Pokemon. I mean, that's its title. And you, my friend, are legendary.
What's up? Happy birthday to my good friend Eric Silver. I am going to pick a Pokemon for you, which is a little bit left field and only really sums up one of your personality traits, but I think it's an important one. So I'm going to go ahead and say that you remind me of Houndoom. Now, I know that probably seems like a bit of a stretch because how is fuzzy, cuddly, amazing, hilarious Eric Silver like Houndoom? Well, let me tell you, because Houndoom, when I used to play Gold and Silver, was the most reliable Pokemon that I had. I mean, this guy, I would throw him out in the most dire situations, and he would just hang on. He doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses. He's got quite a few immunities. He is an absolute baller of a Pokemon, and was absolutely essential to my survival. And that's the way that I view Eric. He is absolutely essential to my survival as both a person and a creator. Eric is there for me, so reliable, always there with a smile and willing to offer up in any way that he can. So thank you very much for being there for me for all this time. And I'm very excited for the next stage of Jasper and Eric shenanigans.
Happy birthday, Eric, my husband.
It's Amanda.
It's me, Amanda, your wife. I know we're the only ones who podcast together, but I had to get in on this to let you know that you are just like my favorite Pokemon, Eevee. You are adaptable and adorable and sweet and fierce and the friendliest Pokemon out there, but also one that I would choose to be at my side no matter what life throws at me. You collect great things like my Eevee Pokemon buddy does in Pokemon Go, and you also come through no matter what the situation calls for. I'm so lucky to have you at my side, and I would choose nobody else to be my let's go partner with out in the world. I love you. Happy birthday.
I just want to point out that it would be pretty cool for twins because my brother is Pikachu and I'm Eevee, and that works out pretty well. Hey, let's go.
Pretty good.
Let's go. The Let's Go series is my mom birthing us.
Let's go Pokemon Silver.
There
but
it is.
Silver's your last name.
That's pretty good. Hey, Mischa. Yeah. I was not expecting that at all. That's wild.
Fucking bet you weren't.
Oh my God.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Thanks, bud. This is so nice. Wait, should we do a list about all of the people who
yeah,
sent
do you want to
this?
give a shout out to all of those people who sent stuff real quick? I don't know some of their names.
I would love to give a shout out to all of my friends, Hetty, Megan, Nara, Tyler, Marquez, Brandon, Raltz, Jeff, Julia, Jasper, and Amanda. Pretty nice and cool.
Pretty nice, but there is still one person who has yet to say something nice about you.
Griffin McElroy's here?
Boy? That's my Griffin McElroy impression. And then I shove an amiibo in my mouth. Oh.
Yeah.
No, it's me. I have to say something nice about you. Eric, we all know that you are wildly creative. It pours out of you, and you have this love, not just of storytelling in games, but design that merges mechanics with narrative in ways that don't feel overbearing. You are the king of this. And I know that because we literally made a game together where we do that.
True.
Buy Clear Eyes Full Hearts now on itch.io.
We'll put it in the episode description, yeah.
But
give us $10.
Give us $12. But it's the confidence with which you believe in these ideas that really marvels me. Maybe it's just that I hang out with small neurodivergent queer people all day. But whenever they complain to me about the creative woes, it's always, oh, maybe my ideas are bad, actually. But whenever you do it, it's always, why don't these idiots love my great ideas? and I don't know why they don't, Eric, but they should, because they're really good.
Mischa, that was fucking tight. That was good.
It's just such a pleasure to work with and for you every day on the wild shit that you let me do for my job. And I love you very much, and I really hope you have a wonderful, happy birthday.
Thank you, Mischa. I appreciate that.
How do you feel? Live reactions right now.
This is really nice. Isn't it funny? And maybe this is about podcasting, the fact that, like, I live in New York City and you live in LA. vaguely, but you don't like work in Hollywood, right?
I'm trying, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's mandatory if you live out there for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's a thing where I wasn't anticipating that, like, even though we work in like media and creation, and like, I don't necessarily say that podcasting is entertainment, because then I think we stumble into the movies category.
Yeah.
But there's a thing where like the people who do this stuff are like quieter. The thing you said, right? They're like quieter, like anxious.
Yeah.
In a way that like that is not like me, that I wasn't anticipating coming into this, because I thought more people were going to be like me. Maybe this is like a pre-COVID thing where like, you know, there's a certain level of performance that's with some of the stuff that we do that I really love and I really love to do, and I like doing, and I love doing the live shows at the various places for the various shows that we do. And it's like, it makes me feel like I stand out a lot in a way that like I thought it was positive to be quick and loud and stick to your guns and speak truth to power in a way that I wasn't anticipating so many people having an issue with and pushing back on.
Yeah. We certainly live in interesting times to try to speak truth to power. I'll say that.
Yeah, I thought that was the point, right? That like,
I think
power
so too.
Power has never been more vulnerable. It's like, you know, the people who are telling me to be quiet aren't the people in power. They're the people around who don't like that someone's being loud. And that's what I find deeply confusing about the world which we live in right now, and that I find myself in turning 31 and going to 32. You know, like, I spent so much of my life being like having just such absolute garbage self-esteem while also doing creative stuff. And now I'm like, what the fuck is everyone else's problem? And
that's wild. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely like around in college, you know, like I was setting up like this NYU slam poetry team, and we ended up being like, we ended up winning a bunch of collegiate champions, but I was like the president and the one putting it all together. I wasn't even like performing necessarily, because there were people who were like talent, and like I ended up being like the second alternate, but also I was managing at the same time. And I thought that that's all that I had, which is also why I like making games for other people. It's like, I don't need to be the talent necessarily, but at the same time, it's like, I thought we valued this, you know? I thought, you need someone to make the game before you can play the game.
Yeah. But also, like, you can't help but being the talent, because the talent is just so there, and it bubbles out of you, and you have to give it to somebody. You have to give it to the people around you.
I know. What I'm saying is, these are interesting times to be in Eric Silver right now, and it just felt nice having unmitigated nice things being said to me like this. So I like that.
Well, I'm here with you, because I think your shit is cool and good, and I think the world wants, needs, and deserves it. Eric Silver, tell us where we can find you on the internet.
Well, you can continue to listen to this podcast and recommend it to other people, is what I would suggest. But yeah, just continue to listen to my other shows and tell people that I'm good at it. I think, honestly, that's what I am asking from listeners, because also our listeners are quiet people who don't necessarily post about this on social medias, which is fine, because social media is terrible. But yeah, go out and tell people I'm good at this, is what my birthday present to me, in public or in semi-private, you know? Like, don't just do it in private. Do it in semi-private or public is what be a wonderful present to me.
This is your call to action. Actively tell people. Don't just try to sneak in opportunities. Actively find and seek out opportunities to tell people Eric Silver is good at games and good at podcasting. Because he is, and more people should know about it.
Thank you. You can find me here at Games and Feelings. You can find me on Join the Party, being the best DM in podcasting. Or you can find me at Tell Me About It, which is fucking tight. I love doing Tell Me About It. It's so much fun.
It's just so wild. But like all of the parts of it, like, you don't think they'd come together, which is why it's so hard to describe to people, but it really comes together in such a funny way.
I just think that there are layers to it. I think people are trying to digest all of it at the same time. And I think that, like, it makes sense if you just, like, read it in sentences. It's like, okay, it's a game show about your favorite things, right? It's like Taskmaster, where a multi-billionaire makes people do things. And then the third one is improv legend Adil Rafai forces people to tell him why their favorite thing is better than the movie Grease.
Yeah, it's like coming on and having a nice conversation with your buds about your favorite thing, only it's mandatory and there's incredibly high stakes if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. You just get thrown into the shark pit.
Yeah, You can find me if you choose to do so
Do
on
it.
the internet. I'm still on Twitter at Mischa, etc. because I can't figure out where else to go. If somebody wants to tell me where to go, I will probably be there at Mischa, etc.
Mischa, can I give you a little bit of peace of mind about Twitter?
Yeah.
I am convinced that Elon Musk is going to sell this by sometime in 2024, Twitter. And I think it's going to come back in at least the way that Tumblr bounced back. I do think it's going to happen on Twitter. I really do.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, you can find me there and other places at Mischa, etc. You can also find me editing this podcast and Pale Blue Pod and Exolore and so many others for the Multitude constellation.
And tell me about it. Co-create, and we're co-creators. We co-created it.
We did. It's our baby together. And I also do all of the wild sound design. Whenever Adel says something, I have to make it real.
It's so
and he
funny.
sure says a lot of stuff.
It's so good though.
Thank you so much for joining me here today on your podcast. Here's the keys back. Sorry, I broke into the office.
No, that's fair.
Please don't fire me.
No.
And as we say at the end of every episode of What's Your Favorite Pokemon and then say something nice about you, I choose you. Friendship.
Games and Feelings is produced by Eric Silver and edited and mixed by Mischa Stanton. The theme music is Return to French Toast Castle by Jeff Bryce, and the art was created by Jessica Boyd. Find transcripts for this episode and all episodes at our website, gamesandfeelings.com. Until next time, press X to enjoy the podcast.